Welcome to Campfire Academy. I'm Andrew Craissati. Today, we're talking about cutting through market noise to find effective channels for investor relations.
How can investor relations teams decide where and how to distribute their message today?
So if you're leading an IR team, an investor relations team, how do you decide where and how to distribute your message in today's world? Well, the first factor in all of this is how much of this do you really want to control? Are you simply creating content that is distributed by third parties and aggregated on third-party platforms? Or are you trying to find a more blended approach by which, yes, your content is aggregated by others, whether that is by a stock exchange itself or by market makers, or by regulatory aggregators of financial information? Or are you trying to control it much more so that you can better understand who the audience is and what they're actually doing with the content? When you think about creating content of whatever nature, you are likely going to be creating a multi-channel approach. And many of those channels pull the information from you and then build a relationship directly with the audience, where you are one step removed from that audience. Platforms like Schwab or Yahoo Finance or others that are sort of the well-known default aggregators of financial information, they are intentionally building relationships directly with the investor, and they are disregarding you other than as a source of data. So my question to you is, how much do you care about that? Do you want to know who the audience is? Do you want to know what they're doing with the content? And therefore, are you trying to measure a return on investment in your investor relations engagement? So that is the principal factor in trying to decide where and how to distribute your content. The regulatory content that's required by statute, that's required by your RNS feed that goes into the market, that's not a decision you're going to make. That's already been made for you, and you have to comply with it and supply that information. But there is a lot more information that you can create that feels more bespoke and that gives you the opportunity to build a relationship directly with an audience. Do you, for example, want the audience to be on your website when they consume this content? Or do you care if they're somewhere else consuming that same content? Do you want to be seeing what they're doing with the content? Knowing how much of it they're consuming, what time of day it is, where in the country they live? Is this information that you care about and where you're trying to build more knowledge and business intelligence for your own IR purpose? In trying to build your decisions here, your first is to understand your own business objectives and how much of that is around ROI and data that you're trying to build about engagement. When our clients are thinking about their strategy for distribution, they are also thinking about the difference between a private audience and a public audience. So are they trying to create content that is limited in who has access to it? Or are they trying to create content where they're actually universally hoping that as many people as possible are trying to consume that content? So let's end this by acknowledging your decision comes out of your business objectives, which is likely to be all around engagement and measuring the ROI on your engagement.
So what makes one communications channel stand out amid constant market noise?
So in building your channel choices, you do have choices, and they are going to vary in terms of the level of impact that they create. I would defy you to look at your email inbox and not see any newsletters that are sitting there waiting for you. The question is, what do you do with that newsletter? How much time do you attend to it? Do you read anything that is in it? or are you disregarding that email delivered newsletter? The same with an IR webinar on Zoom, on Teams, whatever technology it may be. Are you really expecting a good percentage of your investor base to show up for that live Zoom event at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday afternoon? And if you put it on YouTube for another 30 days afterwards, are you actually expecting people to go to YouTube, look for it, watch the entirety of those 55 minutes, and then demonstrate that you've got an effective return by using YouTube, or for that matter, video to start off with? So each of these channels are already very, very crowded communities, creating very little impact, but allowing you to get your message across. So as you think about channels and which one stands out, putting aside what's required of you from a regulatory perspective, you really want to be thinking about, how am I getting the attention of someone who I need to be attentive, and how long do I need to hold their attention for? So if you are delivering, for example, a 20 to 25 minute piece of content that is complex and you need the end user to be highly attentive throughout, that is not an email delivered newsletter. It probably isn't a YouTube video. YouTube videos today are commonly holding their audience members for 120 seconds, not 20 minutes. So what will really drive your decision as to channels will be the amount of time you need the person to pay attention to your content, the nature of the content and its complexity, and whether or not it is critical that they really pay attention to that content. So audio stands out for a couple of reasons. Statistically, our clients are seeing content consumed with an engagement rate that is in excess of 25 minutes, sometimes as much as 30 to 35 minutes. It averages at around 27 minutes. That means you've got the luxury of time with a well-produced piece of audio. The other advantage with audio is that you don't require the end user to look at a screen, which for many of them is a challenge. If I'm an institutional fund manager, I'm in meetings all day long. I'm not sitting at my screen thinking about, do I want to watch a 25-minute video on YouTube? It just isn't going to happen. So you have to decide about efficiency and finding that ROI. And that will help you then to find the channel that stands out for you. For many of our clients, obviously, it is audio, and it is a Campfire delivered audio podcast.
And how important is timing of like when, not just where, to ensure that an update gets noticed?
Now we've decided which channels you're going to use, why you're going to use them, how effective they're going to be for you. Next key question is, what is the timing? How often do you do this? What time of day do you do this? What day of the week do you do this? And organizations like Audi can help their clients understand that there are certain days of the week and there are certain times of the day that deliver impact, and there are other moments that you should avoid. We don't encourage our clients to put out content on a Monday or a Friday. We typically find that you want to do it at the beginning of the day more than at the end of the day. So there are some clear evidence-based data points that we know about the timing of what is optimal in terms of getting something noticed. You also want to be clear on ensuring that you are advertising the existence of that content. It isn't enough to put the content out there. You have to let the intended audience know that that content is coming, when it is coming, how long it's going to be available for, and almost building a sense of urgency, or what I call countdown mentality, towards that piece of content, so that it creates the most amount of impact upon its arrival and its availability, and then to make sure that there is a sense of urgency so that the end user appreciates that they need to go and consume that content. So timing supported by the promotion of the content is critical.
So in this context, at what point does more communication stop helping and start creating noise?
An important factor in thinking through how you break through the noise of being in a market is you have to be realistic about the cadence and the frequency of your communication, and is it in fact additive, or is it in fact creating confusion or repetition? So firstly, the content must be original. It must feel exclusive. It must feel as though it's premium in nature. It shouldn't just be a repetition of what you've already put out elsewhere. It should be more than that. It might, for example, be extracted from that information. So, for example, we have clients in the financial services community who use us to convert 1 hour sessions into 5-minute executive summary sessions. That has value. There are those out there who do not have the time for a 55-minute episode and who quite simply take the attitude of, I just want to know the headlines. Tell me what I need to know. Don't give me all the fluff. So there are different reasons as to why you would create communication, but it should feel premium in nature. The other aspect to this is that you want to construct a strategy for the cadence of the content being published. If you say to yourself, I'm going to do this every Tuesday morning, every week for the next year, well, you've got to be realistic about that. Do you really have something to talk about every Tuesday morning? And can you sustain that level of content creation and publication? Even if you work with a partner like Audi who can create content for you, get it published for you, and handle the whole process for you, it still requires your input. There is still an element of human input that is required from each client that we have. So you must be ready to deal with the risk of what I call podcast fatigue. The idea that you're creating too many episodes too frequently and it's taking a burden on you. So be realistic and consult with an audio expert like an Audi team member who can help you to shape the right frequency and duration of your content strategy.
How can companies use audience data or listening behavior to decide which channels deserve more investment?
So as you're making all of these key decisions about building your most effective channels, you're quite likely to use data. That data might come from the click-through element of a newsletter. It might be simplistic YouTube consumption data. It will inform on the length of content. You will see the drop-off rate at which your audience is abandoning a piece of content before the end of that content. Most of the platforms that you currently use will be quite limiting in how much data you have access to. You want to look for platforms and technology that tell you precisely what each individual user is doing with the content, and more than just what they play and when they leave. You want to see, are they fast forwarding? Are they rewinding? Are they speeding it up, slowing it down? Are they repeating sections of the content? What time of day is it? What postcode are they in? Where in the country do they live? What is the operating system that they're using? Importantly, what type of device are they using to consume the content? The vast majority of channels that you're going to use won't supply all of that data. I will tell you that the Audi Campfire platform provides all of that data. So you can, with Campfire, dig very deep, right down to the individual user, to the nearest second, and you can see exactly what they do with the content in question. and it will help you inform in a way that is much more than just looking at data. This is telling you what the audience wants from your content, when they're tiring of your content, where in a 20-minute episode they are really concentrating. And it allows you to therefore not just improve your content strategy editorially, but it's helping you to improve how long an episode should be, when to publish it, and what day of the week to publish it, for example, and also any geographical concentration that you're seeing as well.
How do you see investor communication evolving as algorithms and AI summaries increasingly mediate what people see and hear first? So like, how does audio communication fit into this change?
Algorithms and artificial intelligence summaries are going to change the behavior of the retail investor. It is somewhat doubtful that an institutional investor is going to materially change his or her behavior. It's the retail investor that you need to really worry about. And the AI summary means that the search engine is going to be ultimately abandoned in favor of an AI tool that summarizes all of the opinions that are out there, all the research that is out there. So understanding how you fit into a chat GBT solution where I, as a retail investor, am typing in a search for an individual stock and a summary of all the research results that are out there. I want to be sitting in the middle of that dynamic, and I want to be trying to influence that as much as I possibly can. So understanding your control over research, understanding your control over financial data, and therefore how you fit into the results created by AI is going to be critically important.
For teams with limited resources or tightening budgets, what would be the most effective way to focus their communication where it will have the biggest impact?
So not every public company is a FTSE 100 multi-billion pound market cap company. The market accommodates organizations of all size, and there will be clients, prospective clients, who have limited resources or budgets that are tight in some fashion. So they'll be looking for efficiency in how to focus their communication and yet deliver the biggest impact. So when you think about communication, you want to think about how you reach the largest possible audience with the most amount of impact. So that really involves two relationships that you care about. One is with the aggregators. So getting your story through all of the major financial aggregators. And the second is by putting investment into the promotion around your content so that people know that your content exists. If you are a micro cap listed company, making sure that you're creating as much noise as possible so that people know where to find your content and consume it. That is what will not just get you noticed, but it will mean that you will see an efficiency to how you invest in IR and how you deliver impact. The other thing that you will have to realize with a limited budget is your dependency on publicly available platforms. So you may ultimately decide that for a podcast strategy or an audio strategy, your most effective solution is to work with Campfire, but to get that content onto Apple Podcasts, onto Spotify, onto Google Play and Amazon Audible. Between those four platforms, you have over 95% of all audio consumption in the world taking place. And you want to therefore work with an intermediary like a Campfire that can efficiently and for free get you into all of those ecosystems. This has been Campfire Academy, an Audi production. To learn more about how you can capture investor attention and stay top of mind, visit audi.com.